I'm your constant reminder of our Rotary District Day of Service coming up, culminating on April the 17th. You've been getting emails from me regarding our efforts with Interact with Raleigh. We've had donations coming in to the point that we had 2 big truckloads. Thanks to Scott and Paul helping me get that over there and dropped off. Our monetary donations are coming in. And this is just turning into a really nice effort on all our parts. And I'm just asking you to continue to look at the ways you can give. And we can deliver on Mondays and Thursdays. So instead of trying to deliver that Saturday of the 17th, we'll be delivering the next Monday. So anyway, thank you all for all you're doing in that respect. And coming up before then, next Friday night, April the 9th, we will be having our trivia night that you will join in via Zoom. You'll be getting a link for that. And this is going to be at 7 o'clock on Friday, April the 9th, from the comfort of your homes or offices or wherever. And you'll be getting a little more information about that. But I talked to the DJ yesterday, met him. He's pretty excited about all he's going to be doing for us. So those 2 dates are really important. And thank you for all that.
Thank you, Renee. 2 great updates, to say the least. Exciting stuff coming up. And now could I ask Leon Abbas to come up and give us a quick update on the Dominican project. Thank you, Leon.
Thank you very much, President Scott. As you know, we are supporting the building of 2 homes in Santiago, Dominican Republic, and they're coming along just fine. When these families move in, they're coming from very little, and so they don't bring much to their new home, and they need things to make it a home. And so far, we have collected $665. Thank you for your generosity. We'd like if you're thinking of sending a contribution, please do. We're going to keep it open for approximately another week, and then we'll send the money to the Dominican Republic so they can buy things to furnish their homes. Again, thank you for your generosity. Things are going extremely well.
Thank you, Leon, for that update. So 2 great announcements, obviously, by Renee and Leon. And Renee, let me just tell everybody, the service day work that has gone into partnering with Interact for our club for me personally, has been very eye-opening. I didn't know anything about Interact before Renee brought it up to us, suggesting it be the partner that we follow through with for our service day, and have had a chance firsthand to see their operation and the people that they have working there. A lot of committed people, and to be a part of it, and to be a part of the larger district Rotary initiative for our service day is important. And so I'm very proud of this club, as always, stepping forward and raising themselves above self to help others. And there's no other greater opportunity for us right now than through this partnership with Interact. So I want to thank everybody. We still got time to go. We're going to be talking about it each and every week. We're going to be highlighting the great things that are going on. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for the help up to this point and going forward. Trivia night. Let's make it happen. We got a lot of good stuff. The individual has that is going to actually be emceeing the trivia night comes very well regarded. I know Renee, over several pints, feels as though this guy certainly is well worth the money. So, Renee, so we look forward to trivia night, and then moving on to the Dominican Republic. You know, again, why are we all here? It's to help the people around the world that need it. And what a great example, what great leadership by Leon and the other clubs that have really stepped up to help direct and guide our clubs in a way that folks the DR are going to be able to benefit so greatly from. And I hope you all had a chance to look at the picture. I think we had one picture or a couple pictures. We're trying to get more pictures, but at least you're getting a sense of what the money is being used for. These are homes that are getting built. And how exciting is that? So Leon, thank you very much for your leadership. Couldn't be done without you. So with that, I would like to ask, who out there has a miracle moment?
President Scott.
And I know there's somebody, someone's got to have one. We got to have a miracle moment. Make up one if you have.
This is John.
John had one, he got home.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true. That's
It looks like he's looking to speak, Scott.
Yeah.
Hang on 1 second.
If I could, thanks to everybody for all your thoughts. And my reread. Thanks to everybody for your thoughts and prayers. I went just a little more about what I've been going through. I went into hospital. I went into the emergency room on March the 4th. Turned out I had sepsis as well as an AFib issue and a heart issue. They said I was lucky to be here. Since then, I've suffered every inhumanity anybody should ever have to suffer, being in the hospital for 3 weeks. And I don't need to go any further on that. I've had my heart shocked 7 times in 3 different attempts. I've had a heart cath. I've had a central line. I've had an arterial line. I've had 8 IVs at one time. And the most astounding thing is that as of this morning, they have gotten 55 pounds of fluid off my body. So Scott will particularly understand this comment. I would be willing to bet this is the first time any of you have ever seen me without a sweater vest. And that has a particular meaning to me. So, sorry. I just want to say thank you. And working really hard, trying to learn to walk again and go up and down stairs and do all the stuff we do, because I got to get better because I'm going to kick Chris Walker's butt on the golf course. So, but thank you all for all your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, John, for that. You look awesome. It's been a tough 3 weeks, but to see where you are right now.
One last thing,
lifts
Scott.
my spirits, and I know everybody else's. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being our fellow Rotarian. And thank you for being our friend.
One last thing, if I could.
Right now is when it all starts. And so I'm excited, very excited to ask Alan Kane to come up to the podium to introduce our very special guest for today. Alan?
Thank you, President Scott, and good afternoon, everyone. Many of you have at least read about cyber attacks on government computer networks. This time last year, the Durham City and County network was attacked, and last fall, the Chatham County, a government complex, experienced a cyber attack that encrypted their network, much of their network and business systems, and was held for a $2.4 million ransom. That's just within the region. Cyber attacks are a global threat, and we must remain vigilant in that fight every day. I'm pleased to introduce one of my colleagues today, Erik Chapman. Erik Chapman is our speaker today. Erik serves as Kerry's IT security manager. He came to Cary from recent positions with the Marine Forces Cyber Command, where he was deployed to Italy and was responsible for cybersecurity on 12 remote sites in Europe and Africa. He's worked for the PlayStation Network in similar roles and was the program director of security for TaylorMade Golf. Erik is also a 17-year reservist with the United States Marine Corps and United States Army, serving in an enlisted capacity and as an officer in the communications field. And he holds a graduate degree in cybersecurity from California State University, San Marcos. Unfortunately, Erik's Cougars are not in the remaining NCAA bracket. So please join me in a warm Rotary welcome for Erik Chapman as he talks about Kerry's cybersecurity efforts today.
Thank you, Alan, for the introduction. And it's great to meet everybody here in the Rotary. And I really appreciate this opportunity to give you, a little bit of information about the Town of Cary IT security. I'm going to give a little presentation here and just let me know if you can go ahead and see this once it's shared. How's that? Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to work on my end a little bit. All righty. So today I'm just going to go over a couple of things. What's our mission statement? What is the vision that I've brought to the Town of Cary for security? I've been with the town here for about a little over 2 years now. Some of the recent events that we've seen, either with some of the local municipalities, and then also some attempted attacks that we see on our end. I'll also go over just real high level, what are these kind of attacks that we're seeing, and how are we applying cybersecurity best practices to combat these attacks? Also, what implemented security measures have we taken to stay proactive in being able to prevent these? And then also, what are some of our future initiatives for being able to secure our data in our platform? So for us, our mission is really to provide secure digital resources to the citizens of Cary and Cary employees by implementing industry best practices and collaborating with industry leaders in security. At the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to provide the best possible technology to the Town of Cary and to its employees, but do it in a safe and secure manner. We do this by really working with industry leaders across all of, as you know, we have Cisco, we have endless amount of technical resources here around Cary and the RTP area, and we engage with them in a professional manner in order to get their advice and their input on a lot of these threats that they're seeing. So our vision is really, as we go into the stormwater IoT space and more data collection for how is the Town of Cary operating, is really to be able to provide this for the Town of Cary employee or Town of Cary citizens, so they can see this information and also be able to derive some of their own conclusions with it. With this, even though it is open data, we have to make sure that we preserve the integrity of it, which means that the data is true. That's one of the important features and one of the important goals for us is as we aggregate more data to maintain its security. So some of the recent events that we've been seeing is, of course, in Florida, you saw the attacks on the water treatment facilities. That wasn't necessarily a sophisticated attack, but it's one that could happen to anybody, any organization, especially small municipalities if they don't follow some of the best practices. We see a lot of these attacks affecting multiple local government agencies, including Durham, Chatham County, Orange County last year. 3 out of 4 companies on the private side suffer outages of 2 days or longer. This is a significant impact to business, and then you can imagine on the government side how impactful that can be to day-to-day operations. Around 30% go 5 days or longer without access to data. And at that point, it's every department within the city, within that state or federal government has to change their operations while they try to recover the data in the platforms. So everybody's going to paperwork in order to file permits and file paychecks and do HR records. So that's how significant these attacks are and impact the entire organization. And then of course, everybody can imagine the cost of these ransomware attacks. So to combat this, a lot of organizations get cyber insurance policy, which helps cover some of the cost for the remediation and also possibly to pay off the ransom. So these are the majority of the, I'd say, low-level attacks that we see almost on a daily basis. They're sending emails to their Town of Cary email addresses. It'll say, hey, we have a invoice file for you, or we have, take a look at this file. I just need you to log into this little system, that I'm going to direct you to. And from there, they'll attempt to steal the password file. Then they're going to start gaining access into your environment, into our environment, and they'll scan for additional targets, critical resources, information they can either extract or they can encrypt in order to then make that ransomware claim. So this is the CIS Controls Top 20. This is really the best practices. Implementing these, it's an iterative process. But it blocks 99% of threats. So each one is a continuous improvement. But if you are able to provide resources, either technical or personnel resources, into addressing these 20 top 10. And these do change moderately from every couple years or so. But if you're able to apply, those resources to these, they have shown to stop about 99% of attacks. And so that's why we've gone with the CIS Controls Top 20. We found it easiest to verbalize and also visualize to the organization the importance of purchasing some of these tools that we have, and then also getting the right personnel for the job. So some of the implemented security measures we've taken over the last 2 years that I've been here, we've upgraded to next generation firewalls. We've deployed an advanced endpoint detection and response, one of the industry leaders. We've also organized with leading threat intelligence, including DoD, as well as either private organizations, as well as some of the industry tech leaders in security. We've implemented email mitigations. There's ongoing improvement because this is really, the email is the front door where most of these attackers are getting in. So if we can block them at that point, we block the majority of their attempts. Third-party vendor access. So what this means is this is really all of our vendors that support us in our day-to-day operations in our IT environment now have to go through a certain interface, a certain portal that we monitor and alert and only provide them access to specific systems they need. So it's heavily scrutinized and monitored by many people within the town of Cary, so that we make sure that these vendors haven't been compromised on their end. We have mobile device management. The importance of this is to prevent data from leaking out to other devices that, let's say, they're lost. So we are able to remotely wipe our issued iPhones and also to monitor what data has been downloaded to them. One of the most important ones is really the multi-factor authentication. If you're not familiar with it, this is really just you showing that you are who you say you are when you go to try to log into an account. Let's say if you're going into your bank. These days, when you log into your bank, you give them a login and you give them a password. And then they typically ask for another piece of information, either a 6-digit PIN to your phone, or perhaps a secondary security question. Well, that's what multi-factor authentication is, and that's what we are rolling out in the town of Cary, because this is one of the I'd call it the most basic security practices and mitigations these days, and it is one of the most effective, easily effective. Single sign-on, or commonly known as SSO in the security industry. What this does is it allows us to generate events for all of our different systems that people log into, and then we can do data correlation and time correlation to see if there's any sort of bad actors that have gained access to any of our systems and are trying to pivot and move across to them, or accessing, at a strange time of night, 2 a.m. they're trying to log into these systems, or that person never really does. Well, we have intelligence that then will generate an event on this, and then we can go and look into it. And then we have our internal, external security assessments and penetration tests. The importance of this is you never know what your weaknesses are if you don't know what they are. So the idea is that you need to bring somebody else, and this is what we do. We have somebody else come in to validate our findings internally, and then also to identify any weaknesses that perhaps we didn't see, or maybe we didn't think were as critical as it should be. So it's basically a good quality control of our risk findings. So some of our future initiatives is our continued IoT deployment and management and security. So IoT has become, the new face of data, the new face of cities. And what it is it's the Internet of Things, and it's all of these small sensors that you place throughout a town, a geographic area, in order to monitor weather systems, monitor water flow systems, monitor air quality, monitor sound, monitor pedestrian traffic. And with all of that, there's a lot of good data that can be brought out of that. And at the end of the day, you can impact urban design. You can make it more efficient. You can make it so the local citizens can start to see what are the types of traffic flows, so that they can change and become more efficient on their end and be more aware of their town surroundings. And then for us internally is really our SCADA and ICS. And what that is that's For us, it's primarily our water systems. So within those water systems, you have a lot of sensors. You also have a lot of gates that are connected to programmable logic controllers, which is what opens and closes these gates, applies chemicals to them. Well, all of that's ultimately connected to the internet these days, or at least a network connection that's heavily isolated. But being able to monitor that and manage it to make sure that no bad actors have gained access to it is very critical for security and for government. And then for also is improving our data classification and data governance. What that is really identifying and protecting any of our employee data that includes home of records, social security numbers, anything of that nature, making sure that all of it is properly watermarked, restricted to only those who need to have eyes on. All of that's part of data classification and data governance, and that's always a continuous iterative improvement on our behalf. Now it was quick, but I wanted to leave plenty of time for questions, and I figured the questions would be a lot better than anything I could have put in PowerPoint. So I'll open the floor to the Rotary.
Eric, thank you so much for your comments, sharing those with us, and we appreciate your being here with us today. Let me just invite anyone who's online here to post any questions you may have to the chat. Eric, I wondered if you could just describe how you collaborate with other municipalities, Wake County, et cetera. Can you describe how you interact with other agencies?
Absolutely, right. Well, there's a couple. Mostly we do it off of lunch and learns, where we come together and we throw ideas back and forth. Because a lot of us are operating with the same resource restrictions, either financial or personnel, and we have to build out the best possible solutions that we can given these restrictions. And so we talk about what solutions that we use that worked and didn't work. Also being able, which is really great about being out here in North Carolina, is that the state has contracted with certain organizations or certain corporations, security corporations, and they provide products or services to us either at a free or reduced cost. So sharing that information among these small municipalities has really been able to strengthen our platforms, as a whole. Because at the end of the day, even though we are segmented as our different municipalities, there are some trust relationships in our networks, and at the end of the day, we're really one big network and village that we have to realize that those trust relationships can be exploited by bad actors.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. We have several other questions. Tim Mannix was asking, how many attacks does Cary get every month? Do you have any sense?
Oh, if an attack not successful but attempted, thousands.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Absolutely internationally, from all the normals that you would expect. But yeah, either through email or directly through network traffic at our edge, attempted to our websites. Yeah, thousands.
Well, thank you. And I think you may have just spoken to this. Paul was asking, are those threats typically from inside the U.S. or outside, or do we know?
Outside the U.S. Yeah.
Outside
Almost exclusively outside the U.S.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you. Howard Manning was asking, it seems that Facebook accounts are easily hacked, or at least his is. Howard, you must have some juicy stuff in your Facebook account. Does the town allow staff to use Facebook accounts for town business? And if so, how do you protect the integrity of that?
I believe we do have, basically a PIO, a public information officer, and so there's only maybe one or two that are authorized to use that Facebook account or Twitter social media accounts, but on behalf of the town.
Limited access to those. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Ken was asking, what types of our personal information might be at risk through the city of Cary's systems, Town of Cary systems?
Oh, that's a great question. Really none at this time, because it's name, home of records is not considered sensitive or protected information, but we have a defense in depth policy and practice here with all of our security tools so that we protect everything all the way from the edge, which is like the edge of our network, all the way down into our databases. So really, the risk is very minimal, and we've seen no sort of signs of any of that data being compromised or modified in an unauthorized fashion.
Interesting. Thank you. And Sally Shaver was asking, is there 24/7 surveillance of the water treatment facilities in Cary?
Yes, there is a video. There's video feeds of it. And then I don't believe that there's actually a security detail for those water treatment facilities, but they do have gates and they are badged access to get in.
Got it. Thank you. Jim Lovejoy asked, is having his utility bill withdrawn directly from his bank account the safest way to pay, or do you have other recommendations?
Honestly, I would say that that probably is the safest way to pay, because the alternative is attempting to send a check in. And what that does is then people will reach out to you and then try to get you to write them a check and say, hey, I am the water department, pay me, and I'll clear this bill up for you. And so having an auto withdrawal, I really think is the safest way.
Great, thank you. Sal Camarada asked, how are we doing at catching and prosecuting these hackers? Is there deterrence yet?
You know what, I don't have the link on me right now, but the last organization I was at, we actually did catch him. We brought him back from a foreign country under the guise of future employment. And so he just went to trial and he's going to prison for a couple of years. So occasionally we do get the bad guys. But much of the time, due to extradition issues, jurisdiction issues, no extradition treaties, favorable governments on their end, that it's difficult to get them back in the U.S.
Got it. In a minute, I'll turn it over to Bob Griffin to invite any questions from the room there. But before I do that, I have one other question. You're an IT cybersecurity specialist. I'm wondering what you do in your personal IT interaction that maybe other of us could consider. I know Zuckerberg puts a piece of tape over his camera on his computer. What are the things that you do that you feel are necessary to protect yourself?
Oh, that's a great question, Rod. I'd say number one is the multi-factor authentication. If you have a bank account and you see that option when you log in, they say, hey, we want to, or also called 2FA, two-factor authentication. If that option is there for your banking, for your Amazon Prime, for your Netflix, for your Hulu, all of those, and your Facebook, I would highly recommend, before the day is done, to get that two-factor authentication set up in those accounts, because, and Gmail, especially Gmail as well, or Yahoo or whichever provider you're with, because bad actors will go and they'll target one of these, and then from there they'll just move and pivot, and they'll build basically entire profile, an intelligence profile based on their target victim, and then start to expand from there, go to your contacts, utilize those social trusts with other people that are in your contacts in order to exploit people you love or your friends.
That's helpful. Thank you very much. Bob Griffin asked, it's great. He said it, first of all, it's great to see the town being so vigilant at protecting our sensitive information. Do you have any tips for what we should be doing at home to keep ourselves safe? I think you just spoke to the 2FA. Anything else we should be doing at home?
I would go and make sure you have, a basic antivirus on those home devices. I would certainly do that. Basically, the two-factor authentication and the, basic antivirus on that home system is probably the easiest and the most effective for effort. So your net gain is the most there.
Great, thank you. Bob, are there other questions in the room? I think you're muted, Bob.
Oh wait, I see one that's are Macs safer than PC? Are they safer? In the respect that they're not targeted as much, yes. Not in the fact that malware can't be written for them or isn't. It's just, it's not as rich of a target as PCs. So that's why you don't see as much. But one of the big things they're moving to these days is mobile malware. So it's basically downloaded onto your smart device, because we know these days, our smart devices, our Androids and iPhones are all connected to our bank accounts, connected to everything, our entire lives. And they can distribute this to you simply through an unsolicited text message. So that's, these days, that's where the target, that's the bigger threats that we're seeing.
Great, that's helpful. A few other questions have come up from the room. What about passwords? It seems like the best passwords are the hardest to keep current and or remember. Do you have any good tools for password management?
Sure. If you KeyPass is one free one. That is a locally downloaded, so it would just be on that device, and you can open it up. Lastpass is a great one. That is in the cloud, so you could be able to access your passwords anywhere you go, and it has two-factor authentication on it. So it allows you to store, hundreds of passwords on there, and it's really effective because I know how tough it is. I'm not even sure how many. I'd have to go look back. I must be over 100 now of accounts and passwords, but.
Yeah, I'm a LastPass user, and I think it's great. It's nice to have unique passwords for every login. Tim Naring asked, does the town still have data centers, or are you in the cloud 100%?
Yes, we're about 50-50. We're making an even greater push right now to get more into the cloud. It's great for redundancy, uptime, recoverabilities like DRP, disaster recovery plan. So yeah, it's a consistent movement, but we do have some in the cloud.
Erik, speaking of resources, do you know off the top of your head how many folks are sort of working in IT with the town of Cary, and do you feel like you're sufficiently resourced?
I think our IT department now is about 45 or so. And that's our IT and marketing. Previously, I had one security analyst that reported to me. She moved on to a better opportunity. But I do have two more that is great opportunity for me that they're starting in a couple of weeks. So yeah, it's I definitely think I'm going to get the help that I need to keep moving forward and keeping us advancing.
Great, thank you. And you saw Sal just posted a question there. So how secure is it for Google to remember our passwords? I presume you mean Sal in the browser password keeper. Is that not something we should be doing, Erik?
Ideally, it wouldn't be because there are mechanisms for bad actors to actually extrapolate that entire password repository that's in your browser. But it's better than nothing. But given the opportunity, you definitely go to something more like LastPass.
Got it. I know what you're doing this afternoon, Sal. Great. Are there other questions? Well, I know this has been very helpful, Erik. Thank you so much. I think I'll turn it over to Sally Shaver to express our thanks on behalf of the club.
Erik, thank you for being with us today. We really appreciate such an informative talk, and we feel a lot more comfortable knowing you're there working for us at the town of Kerry. As a token of our appreciation, we would like to give you a set of note cards, and these note cards were drawn and designed by Jerry Miller, who's a member of our club, and they're scenes from Kerry. And we will be sending those to you through the mail since you couldn't be with us today in person. Thank you again, and we hope that soon you'll be able to come back and visit, and we can all be gathered in person. Thank you
so much, Sally, and I really appreciate it, Rod, and all of the the Rotary Club. It was great, and I'm always available. It's Erik.Chapman at townofcary.org. You can always email me if you have any other security questions, or if you see anything in the news and you have any concerns. Feel free to always reach out anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you so much. Great presentation, Erik. Quick question. I think what I got out of this, so if you have more than 50 passwords that are needed, they shouldn't be the same password? Did I hear that? Because I'm going to have to zoom home right after this and make some new passwords. So thank you for that. I learned something today. Thank you, Alan, for bringing Erik. Very informative presentation. Very, very informative. Now, we get to look forward to our next meeting, and we have the good fortune of having David Coulter be our host for next week. Phil Kirk, who is going to be speaking to us regarding the North Carolina wine industry. That should be a great presentation. Not sure if wine is included. That might be an inducement. Maybe we will include it. More on that later. In 2 weeks, Renee is going to be hosting Allison from Interact. And this will be a great opportunity for us as a club to learn a little bit more about what Interact is all about and how large their reach is in our community and all the great things that we do, that they do. And so I think that lead up very nicely to our service day on April 17th. Next week's meal, meatloaf over mashed potatoes and gravy. We added that. That wasn't on initially. So anyway, it'll be a great meal next week. Again, want to thank Erik for today's presentation. Alan, again, you're bringing great people to speak to us, and certainly appreciate that. And I'd like to say again, Patty, thank you for being here today. I'm assuming you're up in York, Pennsylvania, or thereabouts. Being a former past district governor is quite an achievement. We have the good fortune in this club to have had a few, one of which I think both are actually on the call, if I'm not mistaken. And so I look forward to hearing more from you through Bob. Again, I know you two are interacting, and we welcome you to the club as soon as your travels will allow. And so we're at that point today. I'm sorry. I wish it could last a lot longer. I could go another hour, but time does cut it short every now and again. So with that, if I could ask John Collins to lead us out in the four-way test. John?
Absolutely. And the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First. Second. I can't hear it. Third. And fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
All right, John, thank you for that. Before we go, guys, everybody, quick point here. I think it's worth noting that John, I think, for as long as we've been doing Zoom, I think has done the best job coordinating our four-way test. Great job, John. We were all in unison. That was very good. So that should give us some momentum going into the rest of the week. With that, today's meeting is adjourned. I wish everybody a fabulous rest of the week. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks for